Hello and welcome to the Weekend Geeks, and it's finally here. Our look at the 2022 San Diego Comic-Con. Did you know it's been nearly 3 years since we were last together for the 2019 convention to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Comic-Con? Boy, was it great to finally be back for face-to-face conventions. But 2020 had something in store for all of us that we did not expect.
My fellow Americans, tonight I want to speak with you about our nation's unprecedented response to the coronavirus outbreak that started in China and is now spreading throughout the world. Today, the World Health Organization officially announced that this is a global pandemic.
With an effort to curb the global pandemic, many of the facilities used to house conventions became treatment locations and shelters for those looking to remain hopeful and healthy, with San Diego being no exception.
Virginia, so today city leaders will discuss what they're calling the third phase in their efforts to try and control the spread of the coronavirus among the homeless population. So you may remember this started last week with this effort when crews began moving people from the bridge shelters. The whole point is to give people enough room to practice social distancing. People staying there and the staff are being monitored by nurses each day, and those who show symptoms are sent to an isolation area at the convention center or at a medical facility for treatment.
But, as many would know, those efforts to flatten the curve would be challenged in ways no one could have considered, prompting officials across the world to make drastic decisions. In many areas, state officials would enact orders to bar large events and protect further contamination and spread of COVID-19. And it was one of those orders that paved the way for the first ever cancellation of Comic-Con.
For the first time in its 50-year history, Comic-Con has been canceled, the latest casualty of the stay-at-home orders and the need for social distancing. The annual pop culture showcase and major economic driver for San Diego has been called off, which will leave a huge hole in the summer landscape for the city, but also a huge economic one for businesses all throughout our region.
The organizers behind the nation's biggest annual pop culture celebration announced today with deep regret there will be no Comic-Con this year. News 8's Alicia Summers has the story.
This cancellation is a first in the convention's 50-year history here in San Diego. I spoke with a Comic-Con representative who says at this point, health and safety is more important.
But it wasn't all doom and gloom. In 2021, Comic-Con International hosted the first ever Comic-Con Special Edition as a way to bring attendees back, albeit in a smaller capacity, with hopes that in 2022 we would again share the stage face to face.
And that's where my story begins from my trip to San Diego Comic-Con for 2022. It begins like most conventions with packing of the car and a very long 1,600-mile trip all the way from southern Louisiana to San Diego, California, with our first stop in Houston, Texas.
It's Comicpalooza, one of the largest pop culture style events in Texas. Starting in 2008 with a table at the Alamo Drafthouse, this convention quickly became one of the favorites for attendees, hosting a slew of guests, including Tom Holland and many of the doctors from Doctor Who. The event is now hosted by the Greater Houston Convention and Visitors Bureau and still manages to bring in a great guest lineup as well as a huge show floor. This year, my singular goal was to meet Christopher Eccleston, known for his portrayal as the Ninth Doctor from Doctor Who.
Fantastic.
And really the best Doctor if you ask me. But there were other neat things spread out throughout the George R. Brown Convention Center, from game show style panels, a courtroom thing, and even BattleBots, which seemed to always have a crowd gathered. There were even an impressive amount of themed vehicles on display. However, my time in Houston would be rather short, as the vehicle I had rented was victim of a mechanical issue, requiring me to stop and retrieve another vehicle. So once I had that, it was time again to hit the road, with my first stop in Fort Stockton, Texas, followed by Tucson, Arizona, before arriving in San Diego on Monday. With over 1,600 miles behind me and my destination in sight, I had arrived in San Diego. First stop, the COVID testing center. Many attendees would take advantage of the opportunity to get wristbands early to avoid the long lines that would plague the convention throughout the rest of the week.
And for Comic-Con attendees coming to this year's convention, there are two things required for entry. That was the vaccine or negative testing wristband and also face mask. And Comic-Con was strictly enforcing the face mask guideline throughout the convention this year.
At that point, it was time to get back in my car and head off to the hotel. Tuesday marked the calm before the storm, or the day prior to preview night. The day started with a live video showcasing downtown San Diego and different things that attendees would find throughout. I paid special notice to the 10 Forward area where Paramount Plus would bring a literal mountain of entertainment. And no, it was not Anson Mount's hair. For those never having attended Comic-Con, the entire downtown Gaslamp Quarter becomes devoted to the convention. Restaurant and businesses will lease their space for official convention functions and events. This year, Apple TV Plus would host one such offsite with the Severance Experience at the Hard Rock Hotel. More on that later. It was then that I made my way to the Convention Center and the home of the 2022 Comic-Con International. Built in 1990, the Convention Center holds all of the official events, comprising the vast majority of the main convention, with Hall H and Ballroom 20 being the panel rooms that most attendees visit. It was then inside and upstairs to the sales pavilion to grab my official badge, bag, book, and lanyard. To my knowledge, and in the 10 or so years that I have attended Comic-Con, I cannot remember a time when attendees were allowed early badge pickup. In the last few years, Comic-Con has mailed out badges to everyone attending, with just a few exceptions. Because I was a program participant, I would need to pick up my badge in person, with others attempting to do the same. Once registration officially opened, regular attendees would come inside to pick up their goodies and make their way back outside for admission tomorrow. Some folks elected to wait near the Hall H line prior to any official lines forming. And by this point, my day had concluded, at least in the official capacity. I had met up with a few friends, and we discussed plans for the next few days. Afterwards, I would find myself perusing downtown, hopping on one of those electric scooters that are available for rental throughout the area. All of this in an attempt to put my mind at ease and prepare for the convention. The atmosphere surrounding Comic-Con was surreal and magical, and after 3 years, we were finally back. Everyone seemed to have a smile on their face and joy in their heart as they prepared themselves for the opening of the convention at the appointed hour. I set myself up in the area where I always wait for admission and got prepared mentally. As time grew close, we were just seconds away from entering the exhibit hall and the heart of Comic-Con. Eventually, a chat erupted among the people in that area, a sign that everyone was anxious to get this started. Whenever you have an event of this capacity, there are many moving parts at work. And after a short discussion from staff members of Comic-Con, the convention doors were opened and we went inside. For many people, this would be their first experience getting inside the convention to see what it was all about. And for most of us, it was like coming back home. Throughout the remainder of preview night, I explored different avenues of the convention, looking at the Funko booth and some of the other major studios present. Absent this year was Warner Brothers and DC Comics, which left a notable void on the convention floor. It was somewhere in the middle of preview night that I would make a profound discovery and theorize the remainder of the convention. Due to the pandemic, many people elected to turn in their badges and receive refunds or attend Comic-Con Special Edition. With a 2-year gap in place, it was uncertain if Comic-Con would return, but everyone wanted to have security in their decision. This will leave a humongous gap in the amount of people that would be on the show floor at any one point. I can recall Saturday walking straight through the exhibit hall without an issue where it would normally be wall-to-wall people. While I did not mind the change, it just felt like something was missing that had not been present in years prior. This was something that I heard from many people as they try to put their finger on what made this show so different, besides the fact that the official carpet was missing. But hey, we're not Dragon Con. One difference this year would be that I would get to participate in a panel, something that I had always wanted to do since I first attended Comic-Con in 2010. Thursday morning, I would meet Marcia Middleton, a lady who has hosted fan clubs, discussions on fandom, and has moderated panels in conventions nationwide. She, along with her sister Sheila, and I hosted a panel on the resurrection of the Netflix show Manifest, who had been canceled after 3 seasons. This was a show that I was not familiar with, but one that was popular among many people. It had a similar situation to when Star Trek fans petitioned the showrunners and studio to bring the series back for another season. Season 3 left many things on the table, and answers were necessary. The panel was well attended, and I finally got to see my name on one of those cards. But this would not be the only achievement of Comic-Con this year, and I'll discuss more on that shortly. It was revealed in our panel that Manifest showrunner Jeff Rake had a special announcement stating that August 28th of this year would have a special announcement or something pertaining to Flight 828.
Hey Manifestors, it's Jeff. How are you? I want to thank Marcia for organizing all of this. I want to thank all of you for your ongoing support of the show. On behalf of the cast and crew, we could not be more grateful. Here's a hint. Just like last year, pay very special attention on August 28th, 828, when you're going to get some very important information. You heard it first, right here. Again, thanks so much. I'll see you soon.
It felt like the panel had only just begun when it was time for it to end. I'm so thankful for Marcia for allowing me the opportunity to get on stage this year. I will forever cherish the moment and am thankful to have participated. With the panel set aside, I made my way back to the convention center with a short walk from the Omni Hotel that hosted the panel. There, I had an appointment to create a 3D image of myself to make an action figure, something that I was really looking forward to. This was one of the exclusive offerings from Hasbro this year, and only a few participants would be able to take part and create themselves into an action figure. Using what I'm assuming is Unreal 5 technology, participants made a 3D scan or model of their entire face, which is then uploaded to the Hasbro server and sent off to production. It only took just a few minutes to make the image, but it will take several months in order to receive the final product. I'll update the website at phantomappearances.com whenever I receive the action figure.
So we're making a 3D scan. It's part of San Diego Comic-Con and a great experience. Let's go back to more coverage of 2022.
A full Comic-Con experience is something that I don't believe can be done, but an attendee can make every effort to make the most of their time. I don't say this as a derogatory thing, but rather that there is just so much content and activities that it is theoretically impossible for an individual to do everything. There are some activities that I just really enjoy doing, and those are the offsites or activations. These different activations bring the attendees inside the world of a particular television show or film. Let's take a look at a few of them, starting with the Apple TV show Severance, starring Adam Scott and Zach Cherry. This show centers around an office who uses a medical procedure to remove the non-work memories from employees to mixed results. Doesn't that just sound bizarre? The activation was probably the best overall experience at the convention. After waiting in the office lobby, participants take their official work picture and begin orientation. Once completed, the new employees are taken to the boardroom where the experience really begins. Throughout the activation, attendees were treated to a variety of actors showcasing elements from the show. At one time, the break room was even used as a punishment for answering questions incorrectly. Boy, I really wanted to go to the break room for some reason. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments. Everything felt really well immersed, and the ability to interact with actors and props made it even better. Can you imagine this party at your office? From there, we were off to the House of Dragons activation. Throughout the years, HBO has always provided a first-class immersive experience to their off-site activations, and this year was no slacker. Upon entering the activation, actors present some of the finest Westeros wares to unsuspecting attendees. From the introduction, you're brought into the castle where a guard presents a quest to you. No, not like Skyrim, a quest to bring your own dragon to life. If you have the courage, you will be rewarded in what lies ahead in this experience, a trip to the Iron Throne. While participating in a panel was great, it was not my all-time favorite moment of this year's Comic-Con. That came with my first ever visit to Hall H and subsequent VIP party at 10 Forward. I've always had a curiosity about the events of Hall H and how attendees sometimes spend their entire convention stay in this one room. With the total capacity of 6,500, conventioners hoping to see some of the biggest names in entertainment often camp out for days as they await admission, something that was started the years when Twilight graced the theaters. But no, there were no vampires this time. Instead, it was Star Trek. With my reserved studio seat in hand, I set my course for Hall H in preparation to hear all that was new with the Star Trek universe. Cast members from Star Trek Picard, Strange New Worlds, and Lower Decks made their way on stage to showcase their upcoming season. And at first, it was Star Trek Picard. Season 2 of the series offered up what many called Next Generation Season 8 in the tonality of the beginning episodes. However, it wouldn't be long before Picard made Season 2 its own with a trip to the past and the realization that Q had been meddling with the affairs of everyone. And really, look at the end of Season 2. It is so heartwarming. Looking towards Season 3, it seems we may again invoke some type of time travel or maybe even holodeck simulation, with Patrick Stewart's comment regarding how he forgot that there was carpet on the old bridges. It was also revealed that we would be seeing the Enterprise, but no one would say exactly which ship would be revealed. After that, it was off to Star Trek Lower Decks. I didn't know what to originally think about an animated Star Trek that would explore the not-so-important characters. But with series creator Mike Mahanan, writer of Rick and Morty, he really brought an interesting story to the screen. Lower Decks stars Tawny Newsome and Jack Quaid of The Boys, and a star and a tale in a not-so-normal environment where mayhem seems to be the order of the day. Their appearance was to announce both the next season of Lower Decks and a special crossover episode with Star Trek Strange New Worlds. In the next season, we will see the crew of the Cerritos visit Deep Space Nine in a manner only they could do. From what we all hope, maybe there will be a certain captain to make an appearance. With Strange New Worlds and the crossover episode, it's speculated that we will see the live-action version of our favorite characters from Lower Decks. This may have been teased at Star Trek Mission Chicago, where the cast appeared in costume during their panel. Once the panel concluded, I checked out some of the other happenings in Hall H, and then it was finally time to visit 10 Forward. I had originally missed my opportunity to get a time slot, so having a chance to visit was just incredible. Inside the restaurant, we were treated to out-of-this-world delectables, including a Ferengi favorite soda. I also asked Mr. O'Brien to transport me away in the transporter photo booth experience. Outside, all of the cast members present during the Hall H panel came by for a photo shoot. I even caught myself catching a photo with Jack Quaid where an unsuspecting security guard was caught off guard. The event was a great success, and I even got to meet up with some fellow podcasters. Thank you to CBS for extending the invitation. And with that, Saturday's activities had completed, meaning there was just one day left for Comic-Con 2022.
San Diego Comic-Con has come to a close, but the memories of this event will stay in my mind for years to come. I'm looking forward to what's in store for 2023 as we continue to celebrate all things pop culture with the 52nd annual convention. We should be on a few more years than that, but the global pandemic kept us away for a couple years, but we're back and we're bigger and better than ever. But on that set of unfortunate news, it's time to end this show. I want to thank you so much for joining. Good night.